I'm here in Brussels with Tony Mallett of the Upfront magazine. Can you tell us a bit about Upfront, please, Tony?
I certainly will, Karen. First of all, here's the magazine. We have a printed version, but also online, and you'll get the link from Karen's website. First of all, Merry Christmas, nearly, from Brussels. What the magazine does, I've been here 9 years, and we're a small team, and we cover events in Brussels. Then we moved into Antwerp and also Ghent, all three very special cities, all very different. We're an events-based guide, certain bit of travel, eating out, the best bars, etc. So if you come into Belgium, hit our website and find the magazine when you get here.
So is the magazine quite easy to find around Brussels?
It's distributed free to lots of cafes, bars, music venues, various other outlets, so you'll find it.
So it might be quite handy if you were planning your trip to maybe look on the site before you leave to get some ideas, but then pick up the print copy once you arrive.
That's absolutely correct, because the website, obviously, some of the content's slightly older, although we update it as well. But do both. The magazine is published 10 times a year, so you may arrive in the third week of our publication run, so some of the concerts might be out of date, for example, by the time you arrive. But we always have thousands of up-to-date concerts and events, markets, theatre shows, museum, exhibitions. They're all on the website always.
So do you feature some free events as well?
Free events?
Free events,
well, a lot of events are free. So, many cafe concerts, you don't have to pay a cover charge. There's plenty. There's awful lot. I mean, many events in all of the three cities don't cost you anything. You just have to get there. And one thing about Belgium, the trains run on time and they're pretty cheap as well.
So if you were in Brussels, you could easily get to some other cities?
I would recommend using the train every single time.
And do the trains run till quite late in the evening? So if you went to something in the evening, you'd be able to get back to Brussels?
For example, the last train from Ghent, which is 30 minutes away, is I think 11:30 at night, and the last one from Antwerp probably around midnight. You can get late trains, till 4 o'clock in the morning, but for some reason they take you about 5 hours to get back to Brussels. So
oh wow!
If that's a bit crazy, it goes all around the houses, halfway around Belgium and back, I think.
Oh dear!
But the option is, of course, to if you think you want to go to an event in, for example, Antwerp. Maybe you plan it ahead, you stay 3 nights in Brussels, but you stay 1 night in Antwerp, so you don't have to bother travelling back.
Yeah, that might make it simpler, and it's always interesting to see more than one city, because with Brussels being the capital, so many other cities are a bit smaller and are going to all have their own unique character and different things to do there.
One thing you must remember, because a lot of people are frightened of this, you don't need to speak French. It helps if you do. In the other half of Belgium, split into 2 communities really, the French-speaking and the Flemish. All of the Flemish-speaking. So if you're in Flanders, which is Antwerp and Ghent, English, everybody speaks it. If you're in Brussels, because it's so multicultural now, it's very, very rare that you couldn't be understood in English. It's always nice to try a bit of French, of course.
Yes, that's what I've been trying to do. I start off in French, and then as I can't remember words, it lapses, but it's always appreciated if you make a wee bit of an effort. So do you have any recommendations? 1 or 2 places maybe a bit off the beaten track for people who come to Brussels that they might enjoy seeing?
Well, it depends what you're interested in.
Of course.
Brussels is famous, of course, for its beer.
Yes.
It's frites and mussels. Also, it's lace. Can't tell you too much about that because it's not something I'm particularly
you're not
interested in.
That's not your secret hobby, making lace in the evenings.
Sadly not. But also, of course, chocolates. We have some of the best chocolate makers in the world.
I have experienced some of them, yes. I do like my Belgian chocolates. That's interesting, you're saying about not having a problem speaking in English music to the Brits' ears, since we're not known as exactly being multilingual. So I suppose it's quite a good thing to know that you can have a wee try in French and then then revert to English again.
Well, that's perfect, because if you were sitting in for example, a Flemish bar, now you just asked me questions about little secret places in Brussels, and I could talk forever about this. But one of the best things is if you can communicate in your own language, and everybody else can understand you. The people to ask are the people in the cafes, the people in the bars, and they will know great places to go. Perfect examples. The Sablon is a square which is famous for antiques. There's a lot of chocolate shops, but just above it is across the street is the Petit Sablon, which is an absolutely beautiful little garden with statues of I think they're old Brussels characters, and it's an absolutely beautiful place. And many people who go to the Sablon don't know about the Petit Sablon. There are some wonderful buildings here. Again, many people say all the beautiful buildings in Brussels have been ripped down. Well, it's not the case.
I've seen loads of them.
It was the case. A lot of buildings did get torn down, and before the city planners suddenly got their act together and realised, we've got to stop. These buildings are irreplaceable. And so certainly in the last decade, and I've been here 9 years, in the last decade, you'll see that facades are being kept now. They may rebuild behind them, but they will keep the original facades. So while a lot of the stuff that happened in the 70s and 80s cannot be undone, they're trying very, very hard now to retain what did survive, and that's fantastic. If you go to Antwerp and Ghent, certainly Ghent, everybody talks about Bruges. Bruges, beautiful, beautiful Flanders city. Ghent is equally as beautiful with canals.
So that's your big tip, go to Ghent.
Absolutely, because you'll see a lot less people.
Maybe less tourists.
It's a big university town, but it's unlike somewhere like Leuven, which is very close to Brussels. Again, very beautiful. That's a high percentage of university kids. Ghent has a reasonably high percentage, but it's just a small provincial city, but it's stunningly beautiful. Some of the best music in Belgium is coming out of there now. All the things you can get in Brussels, you can get on a smaller scale there.
But maybe cheaper as well?
I wouldn't say it was cheaper.
No.
It may be because of the students. Maybe there is more value, because Brussels, like most capital cities, can be very expensive.
I mean, it's worse for we Brits with the collapse in the value of sterling, and I just wondered if maybe the prices are a bit higher because it's the capital, but you don't think there's that much difference?
Well, when I first moved from York, as I say, 9 years ago, I was amazed. The rent I was paying in the centre of Brussels was exactly the same as in York, which is amazing.
Wow.
Prices were about the same. There is a discrepancy now because of the exchange rate, as you said. That could change, probably not anytime soon. One thing I will say, if you go to the local French-run bars or the local Flemish bars, as opposed to an Irish bar in which we're sitting now, the prices are a lot more reasonable, because the locals won't pay the high prices.
Right.
If you sit,
go where the locals go.
Of course. If you go in the expat bars, and I think it's true everywhere, you will pay top dollar. So it's a choice, but then you may feel more comfortable in a more
whatever you
a more British environment.
Well, thanks very much for talking to me, and I certainly recommend that anybody has a look at the Upfront magazine or the Upfront website when they're planning this trip to Brussels and Belgium. Thanks, Tony.
No problem.